life transforms. While they talk, you build. While they announce, you achieve. Own this. I move in silence. Lesson 2. Choose peace over proving points. The best fighter is never angry. Lao Tzu. Drama follows people who invite it. Conflict attaches to those who engage with it. Chaos surrounds individuals who refuse to create boundaries. This isn't bad luck or coincidence. It's choice disguised as circumstance. Every day presents dozens of opportunities to engage in arguments that accomplish nothing. Someone posts something ignorant online. A family member makes a passive-aggressive comment. A colleague tries to drag you into office politics. A stranger behaves rudely in public. Each moment offers you a choice: engage or ignore. Most people engage. They can't help themselves. Someone is wrong on the internet, and they must correct them. Someone disrespected them, and they must respond. Someone challenged their opinion, and they must defend it. This automatic engagement is exactly what keeps them trapped in cycles of stress and negativity. Peace isn't something that happens to you when external circumstances align perfectly. Peace is something you create through disciplined choices about where you direct your attention and energy. It's an active practice, not a passive state. Think about your last 5 conflicts. How many of them actually mattered? How many changed anything important? How many improved your life in any measurable way? Most likely 0. They were just energy expenditures that left you drained with nothing to show for it. Here's what changes everything. Understanding that you don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. Someone can insult you, and you can simply not respond. Someone can be wrong about you, and you can let them stay wrong. Someone can try to bait you into conflict, and you can refuse to take the bait. This requires genuine strength. It's easy to respond. It's easy to defend yourself. It's easy to try to make people understand your perspective. What's difficult is having the self-control and self-respect to recognize that most conflicts are beneath you. Your peace is more valuable than being right. Your time is more valuable than winning arguments with people who won't remember the conversation tomorrow. Your energy is more valuable than trying to change minds that are already made up. When you choose peace, you're not being passive. You're being strategic. You're recognizing that engagement is investment, and some things aren't worth investing in. You're protecting your most valuable resources: your attention, your emotional energy, and your mental clarity. Notice how the calmest people in any situation often command the most respect. They don't need to be the loudest voice. They don't need to have the last word. Their composure itself makes a statement that no argument ever could. Practice walking away. Practice not responding. Practice letting people be wrong about you. Practice choosing your battles so carefully that you almost never battle at all. Because at the end of your life, nobody will remember the arguments you won, but you'll remember the peace you preserved, and that peace will determine the quality of every day you lived. Lesson 3. Seek teachers, not competitors. It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. Epictetus. Pride destroys more potential than lack of talent ever could. When you meet someone more skilled than you, your ego faces a test. It can either protect itself through competition and defensiveness, or it can set itself aside in service of growth through collaboration and learning. Most people fail this test. They feel threatened when encountering superior skill. They experience someone else's excellence as a personal attack on their own competence, so they either avoid such people entirely or interact with them through a lens of competition, trying to prove they're just as good, rather than learning how to actually become better. This is expensive thinking. It costs you years of growth. It costs you access to knowledge that could accelerate your progress. It costs you relationships with people who could open doors you don't even know exist yet. Smart people think differently when they encounter expertise. They see an opportunity, not a threat. They recognize that 5 minutes learning from someone who's already solved the problem you're facing is worth more than 5 months of figuring it out alone. They understand that who you learn from matters as much as what you learn. Think about the skills you want to develop or the goals you want to achieve. Now, think about this. Someone has already done it. Someone already has the knowledge you need. Someone already made the mistakes you're about to make and learned from them. That person is a shortcut, if your ego will allow you to access them. But accessing them requires humility. It requires being willing to be the student, the apprentice, the one who doesn't know. It requires asking questions that might make you look ignorant. It requires admitting gaps in your knowledge. It requires setting aside the need to appear impressive in favor of actually becoming impressive. The fastest path to excellence in any field runs directly through people who are already excellent, not around them, not in competition with them. Through them, by learning from them, by working alongside them, by absorbing their thinking patterns and methods. Your network determines your net worth. This isn't just about money. It's about access to information, opportunities, support, and perspectives you can't generate alone. But you can't build a valuable network if you approach every interaction as a competition to prove your worth. Collaboration creates more value than competition ever could. Two talented people working together achieve exponentially more than two talented people working against each other. This is mathematical reality, not feel-good philosophy. When you find someone better than you, study them. Ask them questions. Offer to assist them. Learn how they think, not just what they know. Watch how they approach problems. Notice their habits and routines. Pay attention to what they prioritize and what they ignore. Your ego will resist this. It will tell you that learning from others means admitting inferiority. It will tell you that you should already know these things. It will tell you to prove yourself rather than improve yourself. Ignore your ego. It's keeping you weak while pretending to keep you strong. Real strength is being secure enough to be a beginner. Real confidence is knowing that learning from others doesn't diminish you, it elevates you. Stop competing. Start collaborating. Your future self will thank you for the humility your current self is struggling with. Your pride is expensive. Humility is your shortcut to greatness. Declare, I learn from the best. Lesson 4. Build your own legacy circle. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Marcus Aurelius. You didn't choose the family you were born into. You had no control over your parents, siblings, or extended relatives. You inherited a set of relationships, complete with their own dynamics, traumas, patterns, and expectations. This is your family of origin, and it shaped you profoundly, but it doesn't have to define you forever. One of the most liberating realizations of adulthood is understanding that you get to create family now. Not just through marriage and children, though those relationships matter deeply, but through intentional selection of the people you allow into your inner circle, the people you invest in, the people who shape your daily life. This concept makes some people uncomfortable. We've been taught that family loyalty is absolute, that blood is thicker than water, that you owe your biological family unconditional love and unlimited access to your life, regardless of how they treat you. These beliefs keep people trapped in toxic dynamics for decades. They sacrifice their mental health maintaining relationships that drain them. They feel guilty for wanting boundaries with people who should have given them healthy love, but didn't. Here's permission you might need. It's okay to build distance from biological family members who consistently harm you. It's okay to prioritize the family you're creating over the family you came from. It's okay to break cycles instead of perpetuating them out of obligation. This doesn't mean abandoning everyone or cutting off all ties thoughtlessly. If you have healthy, supportive relationships with your biological family, maintain and cherish them. But if you don't, stop pretending you do. Stop performing happy family rituals that leave you feeling worse. Stop giving your best energy to relationships held together only by guilt and expectation. Your chosen family matters more because it's intentional. These are relationships you're building from the ground up with people who see you, support you, challenge you, and celebrate you. These are the people who know the real you, not just the version that existed in childhood. These are the relationships where you can grow without being held to outdated versions of yourself. Pour your energy into your partner if you have one worth pouring into. Create with them the relationship you wish you'd seen modeled growing up. Be the partner who communicates openly, shows up consistently, and works through challenges rather than avoiding them. Pour your energy into your children, if you have them. Break the patterns that harmed you. Give them what you needed, but didn't receive. Become the parent you deserved, even if it means learning how to parent without a blueprint because yours was faulty. Pour your energy into your closest friends who function as chosen family. The ones who've proven themselves through time and trials, who show up when it's inconvenient, who tell you the truth when you need to hear it, who celebrate your wins without jealousy and support you through losses without judgment. Building forward requires more energy than looking backward. Yes, understand your past. Yes, work through your family of origin issues with a therapist if needed. Yes, make peace with what happened. But don't make your entire life about trying to fix what was broken before you had any power to change it. You're the adult now. You hold the power. You make the choices. You decide what patterns continue and what patterns stop with you. Use that power wisely to create something better than what you inherited. Your responsibility is to build the family system you wish you'd been born into, to create the dynamics you needed, to establish the traditions that matter to you. This is how generational patterns change. One person deciding that what came before doesn't have to determine what comes next. Lesson 5. Understand your job's real nature. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Epictetus. The biggest financial trap in modern society is believing your employer cares about your well-being beyond your productivity. Companies have successfully convinced workers that employment is a relationship built on loyalty, family values, and mutual care. It isn't. It's a transaction. You sell time and skill. They buy it at the lowest price they can negotiate. This isn't cynicism. This is clarity. And clarity protects you from exploitation. Your job serves one purpose in your life: funding. It generates income you can use to build actual wealth and security. But the job itself isn't security. The job itself isn't wealth. The job itself is just a tool, and confusing the tool with the outcome keeps people trapped for decades. Think about how companies operate. When profits drop, who gets cut first? Employees. Not executive bonuses, not shareholder dividends. Employees. When technology can replace you, what happens? You're replaced. When someone younger accepts less money for similar work, what happens? You're suddenly not the right fit. This is business. It's not personal. But people take it personally because they've invested emotionally in a relationship that was only ever transactional on the other side. Here's what most jobs do strategically. They pay you just enough to keep you from looking elsewhere, but not enough to build real financial freedom. This is by design. If you had 6 months of expenses saved, you'd negotiate harder. If you had multiple income streams, you'd accept less nonsense. If you were financially independent, you'd leave the moment conditions became unfavorable. So they keep you close to broke. Not necessarily struggling, but definitely dependent. 1 or 2 missed paychecks from serious trouble. This dependence is what allows them to demand overtime, accept poor treatment, and settle for minimal raises that don't match inflation. The path forward requires understanding that employment income alone will never set you free. You need ownership. You need assets that generate income whether you show up or not. You need multiple streams of revenue so that losing one doesn't devastate you. You need to build parallel to your employment, not instead of it initially, but alongside it. Do your job well. Maintain professionalism. Deliver quality work, but emotionally detach from it. Stop giving it energy beyond what's contractually required. Stop sacrificing your health for deadlines that won't matter next quarter. Stop missing important family moments for a company that will post your job opening before your funeral ends. Your job is funding mechanism. Treat it as such. Use it strategically to fund your real goals. Building skills that increase your market value, creating assets that generate passive income, developing relationships that open opportunities, investing in vehicles that grow your wealth. Never confuse your job title with your identity. Never let your employer convince you that you're family when you're really just a line item on a budget spreadsheet. Never sacrifice what actually matters for what temporarily pays. The people who build real wealth understand this. They see employment as a starting point, not a destination. They use job income to fund investments, businesses, and skills that eventually free them from dependence on employment entirely. You can't get rich selling your time. There are only so many hours in a day, and eventually your body and mind wear out. Real wealth comes from ownership. Owning businesses, assets, intellectual property, systems that work for you. Start building those while you're employed. Don't wait until you're laid off or burned out to realize you've been building someone else's dream instead of your own. Your employer will take everything you're willing to give. Set boundaries. Protect your time. Use the income strategically. And never ever believe the lie that company loyalty is rewarded with anything beyond another year of employment. Lesson 6. Question every path given to you. The unexamined life is not worth living. Socrates. Society hands you a map at birth. It shows exactly where you're supposed to go and when. School until 18, college until 22, career until 65, marriage by 30, house in the suburbs, 2 kids, retirement, death. Follow this path and you'll be successful. Deviate from it and you're making a mistake. Except the map is outdated. It was drawn for an economy that no longer exists, for social structures that have crumbled, for a version of success that's leaving people miserable and medicated. Look at the people who followed the map exactly. How many of them seem genuinely fulfilled? How many reached their 50s and realized they'd spent decades climbing a ladder, leaned against the wrong wall? How many are trapped in careers they hate, marriages that died years ago, and lives that look successful from the outside while feeling empty inside? The map was designed to create obedient workers and consumers, not fulfilled human beings. It was designed to benefit institutions, not individuals. And it's working exactly as intended, producing people who are productive enough to generate profit, but unfulfilled enough to keep consuming in a desperate attempt to fill the void. So why are you following it? Why are you accepting advice from people who are clearly lost themselves? Why are you trusting a system that's producing outcomes you don't want? You don't have to go to college if that path doesn't serve your specific goals. Many of the richest people alive either never attended or dropped out. Many of the most fulfilled people chose paths that made their families nervous, but made their souls sing. You don't have to buy a house just because everyone says home ownership is the dream. For some people, renting provides flexibility that ownership destroys. For some goals, having capital available for investments beats having equity trapped in real estate. You don't have to get married or have children just because you've reached the right age. Some people thrive in committed partnerships. Others thrive in independence. Neither path is superior. They're just different, and only you know which actually fits your nature. You don't have to work for 40 years and hope retirement is enjoyable. Some people build businesses that give them freedom in their 30s. Some people design lifestyles that blend work and leisure from the start. Some people retire multiple times, pursuing different interests throughout their lives. The moment you realize you can design your own map is the moment you become free. But this freedom requires courage, because stepping off the beaten path makes people uncomfortable. Your deviation questions their compliance. Your unconventional success challenges their conventional struggles. They'll express concern. They'll warn you about risks. They'll tell you to be realistic, not because they know better, but because your freedom highlights their cage, and that reflection is painful. Design your life according to your values, not society's expectations. Define success for yourself instead of accepting someone else's definition. Choose your own timeline instead of following an arbitrary schedule designed decades ago. This doesn't mean being reckless. It means being intentional. Question everything. Examine every should and supposed to in your life. Ask whether it actually serves you or whether you're just following it because everyone else is. The most fulfilled people aren't the ones who followed the map. They're the ones who drew their own. They're the ones who questioned every turn, evaluated every destination, and chose based on what actually mattered to them rather than what society said should matter. You get one life, one chance, one opportunity to see what you're capable of when you stop living for others and start living for yourself. Don't waste it following someone else's map to someone else's destination. Draw your own, even if your hand shakes, even if the path looks uncertain, even if people think you're crazy, because the only thing crazier than walking an uncertain path you chose is walking a certain path that leads somewhere you never wanted to go. Lesson 7. Value depth over numbers. Associate with people who are likely to improve you. Seneca. Modern life encourages collecting people like they're trading cards. Social media makes it easy to accumulate hundreds or thousands of friends and connections. But these digital relationships are mostly hollow. They're performances of friendship rather than actual friendship. Real friendship is rare. It's difficult to build and easy to destroy. It requires vulnerability, consistency, time, and genuine investment. Most people aren't willing to offer these things, which is why most people don't have real friends despite being surrounded by acquaintances. By your 30s, you should start recognizing the difference. Acquaintances know your name, friends know your story. Acquaintances celebrate your highlight reel, friends know the struggle behind it. Acquaintances show up when it's convenient, friends show up when it's necessary. Pay attention to how people respond when you succeed. This reveals everything. Real friends celebrate your wins with genuine joy. They feel pride in your accomplishments. They want to hear details. They share your excitement. Fake friends respond differently. There's something off about their congratulations, a subtle edge, a quick comparison to their own achievements, a minimization disguised as concern. That's great, but are you sure that's sustainable? Don't you think you're moving too fast? These aren't words of wisdom. These are words of envy trying to slow you down so you don't get too far ahead. Because your success makes them examine their own lack of it, and that reflection is uncomfortable. This doesn't make them bad people necessarily. It makes them immature people who haven't developed the emotional security to celebrate others without feeling diminished. But it also makes them the wrong people to keep in your inner circle. Your inner circle shapes your life more than almost any other factor. These are the people whose opinions you value, whose advice you seek, whose perspectives influence your thinking. If that circle contains jealous, insecure, or unsupportive people, they're anchors holding you down while pretending to be safety nets. As you grow, your circle should shrink. Not because you become antisocial, but because you become selective. You stop maintaining relationships out of history, obligation, or guilt. You stop investing in people who don't invest back. You stop pretending shallow connections are deep ones. One real friend who genuinely supports you is worth more than 100 acquaintances who smile to your face and criticize behind your back. That one person who knows your struggles and celebrates your progress anyway, who challenges you to be better without making you feel less than, who shows up consistently without keeping score, that's priceless. Build your life around people like this. Protect these relationships. Invest in them. Because they're rare, and in difficult times, they're often all that stands between you and complete isolation. Let go of everyone else. Not dramatically, not with big confrontations or burned bridges. Just quietly, by redirecting your energy toward relationships that actually nourish you. Stop attending every social obligation. Stop responding to every message. Stop pretending you have more bandwidth for friendships than you actually do. Quality always beats quantity. Always. In possessions, in commitments, in relationships. Better to have 3 friends who would help you move a body than 300 who wouldn't help you move a couch. Be selective. Be intentional. Be willing to have a small circle if that's what authenticity requires. Because the alternative is a large circle of shallow relationships that leave you feeling lonely despite being constantly surrounded by people. Choose depth, choose real, choose few, and watch how much more peaceful and supported your life becomes. Lesson 8. Release the past to claim your power. How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it? Marcus Aurelius. Your parents weren't perfect. Depending on how severely they failed, this might be the understatement of your life. They made mistakes. They passed down their own unhealed trauma. They parented from a place of limitation, ignorance, or sometimes active harm. This shaped you in ways you're still discovering, and you need to forgive them anyway, not because they deserve it, not because what happened was acceptable, not because you need to reconcile or maintain relationships that harm you, but because holding on to blame is like drinking poison and expecting them to die. The person most hurt by your unforgiveness is you. Blame is seductive. It offers a clear explanation for why your life isn't working. It provides someone to point at when people ask why you struggle. It relieves you of responsibility by making your present circumstances someone else's fault. It's a perfect excuse that nobody can argue with because your pain is real and your experiences are valid. But blame is also a prison. As long as you're focused on what they did wrong, you're giving them control over your present. You're saying that what happened years or decades ago determines what happens now. You're making your healing dependent on their apology, their change, their acknowledgement, things they may never provide. Forgiveness is not about them. It's about you reclaiming power over your own life. It's about accepting that they operated at their level of consciousness, skill, and emotional capacity, which was insufficient. And now it's your job to provide for yourself what they couldn't provide for you. This is the transition from child to adult, from victim to victor, from blaming to building. Children need perfect parents to thrive. Adults heal themselves and break cycles. Children need their parents to change. Adults change themselves and create different outcomes. Your parents don't have to apologize for you to move forward. They don't have to understand the harm they caused for you to heal from it. They don't have to become different people for you to become free. The work is yours now. Reparenting yourself. Giving yourself the love, stability and support you deserved but didn't receive. Learning healthy patterns. Developing emotional regulation. Creating security from the inside out instead of depending on external validation. This is difficult work, probably the most difficult work you'll ever do. It requires looking honestly at how you were shaped without getting lost in victimhood. It requires taking responsibility for who you are now while acknowledging that the starting point wasn't your choice. But it's also liberating work, because every step toward healing is a step toward freedom. Every pattern you break is a gift to your future self and your future children. Every cycle you interrupt is a victory over the past's attempt to control your present. Some of you need to hear this. You can forgive them and still maintain boundaries. Forgiveness doesn't require relationship. You can release resentment while also protecting yourself from ongoing harm. You can understand why they failed without subjecting yourself to continued failure. Others need to hear this. Your continued blame is hurting you more than it's hurting them. They're living their lives while you're trapped reliving the past. Your anger is valid, but it's also becoming the very cage you're trying to escape. Take your power back, not by making them different, but by making yourself free. Forgive them for your sake, not theirs. Release the grip the past has on your present, and redirect all that energy toward building the life you deserve instead of resenting the start you received. They gave you your beginning. They don't get to determine your middle or your end. That's yours to write. Start writing it free from the chains of unforgiveness. Lesson 9. Act now, adjust later. Begin at once to live. Seneca. Perfect timing is a myth. The stars never align. Conditions never optimize completely. You never feel entirely ready. The fear never fully disappears. The doubts never stop whispering. If you're waiting for everything to be perfect before you start, you're not waiting for the right time. You're just waiting. And waiting is just quitting in slow motion. Dreams don't end dramatically. They don't die in explosions of failure or spectacular crashes. They die quietly, slowly, through 1,000 small surrenders disguised as reasonable decisions. Not yet. Not now. After this happens. When that's in place. Maybe next year. And then years pass. Decades pass. And those dreams you carried, those possibilities you felt, they're gone. Not because you chose something better, but because you chose nothing. Because you waited for permission that never came, for readiness that never arrived, for perfection that doesn't exist. Every successful person started before they were ready. They started confused. They started scared. They started with incomplete information and imperfect plans. But they started. And starting created momentum. Momentum created learning. Learning created improvement. Improvement created results. You don't think your way into action. You act your way into clarity. The path doesn't reveal itself through analysis. It reveals itself through walking. You can't figure everything out sitting still. You have to move and adjust as information comes. This terrifies people because they want guarantees. They want to know it will work before they risk anything. They want certainty before commitment. But certainty comes after action, not before it. You become certain by doing, by testing, by learning what works through direct experience. What's the thing you've been putting off? The thing you tell yourself you'll do when conditions improve, when you have more money, more time, more knowledge, more support. That thing probably doesn't need better conditions. It needs you to start with current conditions and improve as you go. Start small if you must. Start imperfectly if you have to. Start secretly if that helps. But start. Because starting is the only thing that turns possibility into reality. Everything else is just thinking about doing, which accomplishes exactly nothing. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. This applies to everything. Yes, it would have been better to start earlier, but you didn't. So the only question that matters is, will you start now or continue waiting? People waste years preparing to be ready for something they could have started learning immediately. They take course after course, read book after book, watch video after video, thinking they're getting ready when they're really just procrastinating with productivity theater. Knowledge without application is entertainment. It makes you feel like you're doing something, but you're not. You're consuming, you're learning, you're preparing, but you're not building. You're not creating. You're not testing yourself against reality. Stop studying success and start creating it. Stop reading about other people's journeys and start taking your own. Stop waiting to feel confident and start building confidence through action. Confidence is not a prerequisite for action. Confidence is a result of action. You don't develop it sitting still. You develop it by doing things that scare you and surviving them, by attempting things you're not sure you can do and discovering you can. Right now, someone less qualified than you is attempting something you've been dreaming about. They'll gain the experience you're avoiding. They'll build the skills you're waiting to somehow acquire without practice. They'll create the results you're hoping will manifest without effort. Don't let that be your story. Don't reach your last years wondering what could have been if you'd just started, if you'd just tried, if you'd just acted despite the fear and uncertainty. The right time is now, not because now is perfect, but because now is real. Now is what you have. Now is where action is possible. Everything else is fantasy, waiting, wasted time. Start now, adjust later. Move forward imperfectly rather than standing still perfectly. Because motion beats meditation every single time. Lesson 10. Take full ownership of everything. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Marcus Aurelius. This is the hardest truth and the most liberating one. Nobody is coming to save you. Not your parents, not your partner, not your friends, not the government, not luck, not the universe, not some future version of yourself who magically has everything figured out. Nobody. Your problems are yours to solve. Your dreams are yours to chase. Your life is yours to build. Completely, entirely, without exception. Most people spend their entire lives in a subtle state of waiting for their boss to recognize their value, waiting for their partner to change, waiting for the economy to improve, waiting for motivation to strike, waiting for someone to give them permission or opportunity or resources. They're waiting for rescue, and while they wait, life passes. Years disappear, potential dies, options narrow, and eventually they realize nobody was coming. The rescue they waited for was something they needed to give themselves. Adult life begins the moment you stop expecting rescue and take radical responsibility for everything. Not because everything is your fault. Many things that happened to you weren't your fault, but they are your responsibility. You didn't choose your starting point. You didn't choose your parents, your genetics, your early circumstances, but you choose what you do with all of it. You choose whether you use it as an excuse or as fuel. You choose whether you stay stuck or move forward. This level of responsibility is terrifying because it eliminates all your excuses. You can't blame anyone anymore. You can't point to external circumstances and say, "That's why." You have to look in the mirror and accept that if something isn't working, you're the one who has to change it. But it's also incredibly empowering, because if you're responsible, you're powerful. If you're the problem, you're also the solution. If you created this situation, you can create a different one. Nothing is permanent except your choice to leave it unchanged. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. Create them. Stop waiting for opportunities. Generate them. Stop waiting for someone to believe in you. Believe in yourself and prove it through action. Stop blaming your parents for your current struggles. Yes, they shaped you. No, it wasn't all positive. But you're an adult now, and continuing to blame them is just giving away your power. Stop blaming the economy, the system, your circumstances. Yes, some people start with advantages you didn't have. Life isn't fair. But staying focused on unfairness keeps you stuck. Focusing on what you can control moves you forward. Stop blaming bad luck, bad timing, or bad breaks. Sometimes things don't work out. Sometimes you face setbacks. But blaming external forces for your lack of progress is comfortable helplessness. Take ownership of your health. Nobody else will exercise for you. Nobody else will choose better food for you. Your body is your responsibility. Take ownership of your finances. Nobody else will save for you. Nobody else will invest for you. Your money is your responsibility. Take ownership of your relationships. Nobody else will communicate for you. Nobody else will set boundaries for you. Your connections are your responsibility. Take ownership of your growth. Nobody else will develop you. Nobody else will push you. Your evolution is your responsibility. This doesn't mean you can't ask for help. It doesn't mean you do everything alone. It means you stop expecting others to do for you what you need to do for yourself. It means you're the primary actor in your life, not a supporting character waiting for the lead to arrive. When you take full ownership, everything changes. Problems become challenges you can solve. Obstacles become opportunities to grow. Setbacks become feedback that informs your next move. You become unstoppable not because nothing can stop you, but because you refuse to stay stopped. You take responsibility for moving forward regardless of conditions. This is freedom. This is power. This is the difference between living as a victim of circumstances and living as the architect of your destiny. Stop waiting. Start owning. Your life is yours to build, and the building starts now. Lesson 11. Surround yourself with builders. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. African proverb. You become like the people you spend time with. This isn't metaphor, it's documented reality. Their habits influence your habits. Their standards become your standards. Their conversations shape your thinking. Their energy affects your energy. So look at the 5 people you spend the most time with. What are they building? What are they becoming? What do they talk about? What do they prioritize? If they're talking about other people's business, complaining about circumstances they won't change, rehashing the same problems without taking action, or staying focused on entertainment and distraction, they're anchors. They're pulling you down while pretending to be company on the journey. Your inner circle should be having different conversations. They should be talking about growth, about what they're learning, what skills they're developing, what mistakes they made and what they learned from them. Growth conversations energize you. They make you think differently. They expose you to new possibilities. They should be talking about money, not about what they can't afford or what they're spending on, but about building wealth, creating income streams, making investments, developing financial literacy. understanding how money actually works instead of just complaining about not having enough. They should be talking about discipline, about their routines, their commitments, the hard choices they're making. Discipline conversations normalize doing difficult things. They remind you that progress requires consistency. They model what dedication looks like in practice. They should be talking about building, about creating businesses, developing skills, establishing systems, producing things of value. Building conversations shift you from consumer mindset to creator mindset. They make you think about what you're contributing instead of just what you're taking. If your current circle isn't having these conversations, you have two options: elevate the conversation or change the circle. Try elevating first. Bring up different topics. Share what you're learning. Ask about their goals. Shift the energy toward forward movement instead of circular complaining. Some people will respond. They were also tired of surface-level interaction and just needed someone to go first. But some won't respond. They'll resist. They'll mock your ambition. They'll pull conversations back toward comfortable territory. They'll make you feel weird for wanting more. These people aren't bad. They're just not growing, and they don't want to be reminded that growth is possible. That's when you need to change the circle. Not dramatically, not with big announcements, just by slowly spending less time with people who drain you and more time with people who energize you. Find people who are building something. Join communities around skills you want to develop. Attend events where ambitious people gather. Put yourself in environments where the default conversation is about progress, not problems. This might mean getting uncomfortable, seeking out people who are further ahead than you, being the least accomplished person in new rooms, admitting you don't know things, asking questions that reveal your ignorance. Do it anyway, because being the least knowledgeable person in a room of experts is better for your growth than being the most knowledgeable person in a room of mediocrity. Your inner circle determines your trajectory. If everyone around you is stuck, you'll likely stay stuck. If everyone around you is growing, you'll be pulled forward by their momentum. Stop trying to maintain friendships that no longer serve your growth. Stop feeling guilty for outgrowing people. Stop accepting social dynamics that keep you small to make others comfortable. Build a circle that builds you, that challenges you, that celebrates your progress, that holds you accountable, that reminds you what's possible when you stop making excuses. Your future depends on it. Choose carefully. Lesson 12. Stop learning, start doing. Action is the foundational key to all success. Pablo Picasso. The self-improvement industry has created a generation of professional students who never graduate to practitioners. People who've consumed thousands of hours of content, read hundreds of books, taken dozens of courses, and remain exactly where they started. You are probably one of these people. Most people are. Because learning feels productive. It feels like progress. It gives you the comfortable illusion of moving forward while requiring none of the risk of actual movement. But information without execution is just expensive entertainment. You're consuming, not building. You're learning about transformation, not transforming. You're studying success, not creating it. You don't have an information problem. You already know what to do. You know you should eat better, exercise consistently, manage money wisely, develop valuable skills, take calculated risks, communicate honestly, and invest in yourself. Everyone knows this. It's not secret knowledge. Your problem is execution. Your problem is discipline. Your problem is choosing comfort over progress every single day and then wondering why nothing changes. Discipline is doing what needs to be done when it needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. It's not motivation. Motivation is emotional, inconsistent, and unreliable. It shows up when things are exciting and disappears the moment things get hard. Discipline is showing up on bad days. It's keeping promises to yourself when nobody's watching. It's choosing long-term benefit over short-term comfort. It's building systems that make success inevitable because you've removed the option to fail. You don't need another book. You need to close this and do one thing you've been avoiding. You don't need another course. You need to practice what you already learned. You don't need more inspiration. You need to act despite not feeling inspired. The gap between knowing and doing is where dreams die. That gap is filled with excuses, fear, perfectionism, and the comfortable lie that you're not quite ready yet. But you'll never be ready. Readiness comes from doing, not from waiting to do. Stop consuming content about change and start creating change through action. Stop watching other people's success stories and start writing your own. Stop preparing for a life you keep putting off living. What's the thing you know you should be doing but aren't? The uncomfortable conversation, the difficult project, the scary risk, the consistent habit. That thing is exactly what you need to do today. Not perfectly, not with complete confidence, not when you feel ready, now. Imperfectly, scared, uncertain, because action creates momentum. Momentum creates results. Results create confidence. Confidence creates more action. This is the cycle that builds the life you want, but you have to start it. And you start it by doing something, anything that moves you forward, instead of just thinking about moving forward. Your life will not change through learning. It will change through doing, through consistent, disciplined action, taken over time, despite discomfort, fear, and resistance. So, stop reading, stop researching, stop planning, and do something. One thing, today. That proves to yourself that this time is different. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. The moment you stop expecting rescue and start building your life, everything changes. Not because external circumstances shift, but because your relationship to those circumstances transforms. You stop being a victim waiting for salvation and become an architect designing outcomes. This transformation requires accepting 12 uncomfortable truths. That silence holds more power than speech. That peace is chosen, not given. That teachers matter more than trophies. That the family you build matters more than the one you inherited. That your job is a tool, not an identity. That society's map leads to destinations you don't want. That quality friendships beat quantity connections. That forgiveness frees you, not them. That action beats preparation. That nobody's coming to save you. That your circle determines your trajectory. That you already know enough. You just need to do more. These aren't comfortable realizations. They require letting go of comfortable stories you've been telling yourself. Stories about why you can't, why it's too late, why circumstances have to change first, why someone else needs to act first. Those stories are chains, and you're the only one with the key. By 30, life stops being gentle. The world stops making allowances for potential and starts demanding proof of performance. Your 20s were for exploration and mistakes. Your 30s are for execution and results. Every year you spend waiting for better conditions is a year you'll never reclaim. You have one life, one chance to see what you're capable of when you stop making excuses and start taking ownership. One opportunity to build something meaningful instead of just existing in default mode. This requires moving silently, not announcing every plan, not explaining every choice, not seeking validation for every decision. Just building while others are talking about building. This requires moving patiently, not expecting overnight transformation, not getting discouraged by slow progress, not quitting when results don't match expectations immediately, just trusting the process and staying consistent. This requires moving relentlessly, not stopping when you're tired, not accepting defeat as permanent, not letting setbacks become stopping points, just continuing forward with discipline that doesn't depend on motivation. The world doesn't reward hope or intentions or plans. It rewards action. Consistent, disciplined, relentless action taken by people who decided to stop being victims and start being victors. So what will you do? Will you read this, feel momentarily inspired, and return to exactly what you were doing before? Or will you close this and immediately do one thing differently? One thing that proves to yourself that you're ready to stop learning and start living. The choice has always been yours. The power has always been yours. The responsibility has always been yours. And now you know there's nobody coming to make the choice for you. This moment decides everything. No more excuses, no more waiting. Commit. I build relentlessly now.